afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, October 14th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. I wanted to give everybody a heads up. We, with our GoFundMe site that we have a couple people doing, it was taken down so that everybody knows. They took it down, GoFundMe did. We answered way before, we answered all of their questions very articulately. But they came back and they took it down and said they wanted additional information. And by the information they were requesting, which we already gave them, we figured that we would not want to interact with them anymore. So we cannot use GoFundMe. So we did get a few thousand on there, so we're gonna just shut it, not reinstate it because of their position and how they're acting. And we're just gonna look elsewhere to see if we can find a platform that doesn't charge an arm and a leg as they do, and that we can continue on that platform to generate funds for our base camp and to get the Celestial Chamber off and running. So just wanted to let everybody know, in case you go there, you'll find that it's not there anymore. We will have a reverse aging health call tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is an interesting word. Become a possibilitarian. A possibilitarian. No matter how dark things are, seem to be, or actually are, raise your sights and see possibilities. Always see them, for they're always there. Norman Vincent Peale, of all people. We live in a world that is full of infinite possibilities. Believe it or not, anything is possible. The universe is literally a matrix of energetic configurations that contain an unlimited number of possible outcomes. This world of infinite possibilities is constantly available to take form in our lives based on the thoughts and feelings that we choose to entertain in our minds. Meaning, when we are feeling open and surrendered to the infinite universe, anything could happen in our imaginations in this very next moment. When it comes down to it, we actually have no idea of what is actually possible with our lives. Yet we don't see our unlimited potential because our minds have been deeply conditioned to believe in others' limitations. Others' limitations. Our minds have been trained to believe that they can only achieve a very limited realm of what we are capable of manifesting, based on our past experiences and understandings that we've accepted as the truth. There was a specific study done on baby fleas. You might have heard about this study. Baby fleas who were brought up from birth in a small glass jar. The glass ceiling above them only allowed them to jump 4 inches. Now, normally a flea who was raised without a glass ceiling would jump as high as 8 inches. When the baby fleas were full grown, they removed the glass ceiling, and for the rest of their lives, they always and only jumped 4 inches into the air. All of us have been raised with many glass ceilings. We've been fed all sorts of ideas that give us a very small, limited experience of our power and ability to impact this world. These ideas have become our limiting beliefs on what we think we can and cannot do with our lives. This is our growth point where we will need to break through our glass ceilings and step out of our comfort zones. It's good to know that our minds are much more powerful than a flea's brain. We have the ability to transcend our programmed ideas of what is and is not possible. We can step back from the mind at any moment and realize that we are a spiritual being connected to an infinite source of power who is having this very limited human experience of life. And deep down, we are connected to a source of infinite power and consciousness who can manifest anything that we desire. Apparently, there is nothing that cannot happen today. Apparently, there is nothing that cannot happen today, Mark Twain. Our thoughts and emotions act like blinders, keeping us from seeing and feeling all that we are capable of creating. Our conditioned, our conditioned and cultured mind has been programmed by friends, parents, schools, the mainstream media to believe in ideas like laws, rules, regulations, permanent boundaries, deadlines, have-tos, and that some things just are not humanly impossible. Now, when you watch the mind, you'll see that it tends to remain focused on what isn't possible, instead of the myriad of infinite possibilities that are constantly there for the taking. I have always found that the universe is always a perfect mirror. Just look for a few hours out into the stars at night alone, and you'll soon see how it is reflecting the infinite quality of our true infinite nature. And the deepest reality, we are an infinite being who will never cease. On this planet, we call it die. So we have nothing to be afraid of. We have just gotten or forgotten this and have had a massive dose of spiritual amnesia. We are a soul who will not and cannot die. We have an infinite number of experiences and manifestations coming ahead in our futures. There is nothing to worry about. This is our actual nature, the great truth, and our real future. Some of you have heard of near-death experiences, if not all of you, online. See what everyone says about their experience of dying and coming back to tell about what happened. Only in the darkness can you see the stars. Martin Luther King. One of the secrets to becoming an infinite possibilitarian is to hold the intention of glimpsing your infinite nature. This experience can only be found by bringing the mind to perfect stillness, silence, and peace. If you want to experience your spiritual essence to be free, you must choose to quiet the mind. You can taste the infinite quality of your being today through coaxing the mind to fall into a relaxed space of calmness, quietness, and stillness. It cannot go there by mere force or effort. This vast infinite universe is far too big for even the greatest minds on this planet to comprehend. So because the mind cannot fathom infinity, we have to drop the mind to experience something else. We have to choose to stop the thinking machine. if we truly want to experience the divine infinite spiritual quality that is already inside of us. In the beginning, the mind and body will resist stillness and silence. It will struggle with finding real quietness because this is the ego's great enemy. All it knows is constant noise. Thoughts, desires, assumptions, doubts, fears, etc. Silence is what kills the mind. And all of our ego stories about who and what we are. Even the thought of absolute silence can make the ego quiver. And by actually attempting to sit down and experience it, you'll quickly see how it jumps to a variety of creative distractions and additions. The ego mind is addicted to its thoughts and desires. And if you take a closer look, you'll find that the ego is an addiction of itself. It is the most challenging addiction we will ever find. We think we are this mind and not the one listening to it. We believe we are the beliefs we hold so true to our hearts. The ego radio has been left on blazing so loud for so many years and lifetimes that we never knew there was an off switch. So the mind will struggle deeply with digesting any spiritual understanding because it is simply too small of a container to hold our eternal nature. We have to learn how to befriend it to completely get rid of it. The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained liberation from their mind. Albert Einstein. The good news is that within just a few minutes of freedom from mind chatter, the doors to directly experiencing your infinite nature are opened. You will be able to see the true power of your being and ignite the most empowered and inspiring mission of your life. The trick to silence and stillness is taking time to drop deeper inside yourself. Be free from your desires. Let go of all emotional ties to everyone and everything on this planet. Relax your body so deeply that it becomes perfectly still like a statue. When we are perfectly still, when we have a clean diet and healthy relationships, then we may be deeply, eternally loved with a few minutes of being free from the endless mind chatter. In this silence, there's only a state of pure witnessing without thought. You'll immediately experience this awesome spiritual being who is connected to our infinite potentiality. Daily meditation is the essential practice of quieting the mind of its endless stories about desires, beliefs, and limitations. This quieting practice is our mini vacation to enjoy our situations. No matter how imprisoned or small we feel we are, we can allow ourselves to relax inside, feel deeply peaceful, and experience the vast boundlessness that is our very nature. Through meditation, the illusions of being a finite being are instantly dropped, and we realize the vast essence we really are. Once we experience ourselves as an infinite being, our bodies hold this new vibration, where infinite possibilities can instantly manifest into our physical reality. I am larger, better than I thought. I did not know I held so much goodness. All seems beautiful to me. Whoever denies me, it shall not trouble me. Whoever accepts me, he or she shall be deeply and eternally loved, and shall deeply and eternally love me. Walt Whitman. We have all gone through enough suffering Haven't we? It is time that we woke up, smelled the power available inside of us all, because we are amazing. Absolutely amazing. We can do anything. When we know and feel beyond a doubt that anything is possible in each moment, then we have arrived in bliss. This is for us at this time. All of this, these meditations for the last going on 5 years. This is a pathway, a guidance for those of us on this planet in this lifetime are receptive to transitioning ourselves by our own choice into a higher vibrational frequency, which then changes our theater all around us. There's many things that we can do, and we choose to do them or we choose not to. It is up to how much the ego mind has mastered us. When you wake up every morning, there's a lot of things that we can do, but see, we have this chatter that just floods us. Thoughts, things just start banging in from the ego mind. But if you were to quiet your mind for 30 seconds, grab a taste of infinite possibility, put on your anything is possible glasses and practice seeing how big this universe really is and how it is brimming with intelligent conscious energy ready for you to mold into whatever you believe or desire is real. When we encounter others who live in a world filled with fear and perceive limitations, deeply and eternally love them and visualize that one day they become free. Imagine that they will soon find out that their mind's illusions are merely there to awaken them up to a universe of endless opportunities. Anytime we welcome a perceived limitation, we destroy its power over us. Anytime we welcome a perceived limitation, we destroy its power over us. It's only when we push back, fight it, that we give it energy. Gandhi's one example, right? Be silent, take off your mask, hiding you from your truth. Be free to rediscover your spiritual nature and realize that there is an infinite intelligent universe all around us right in this now. Anything is possible. This is a repetitive statement, and it's very true. You'll hear people say it, anything's possible. Philosophers have always believed that essence precedes existence, that man is born with what he is going to be already determined, right? Man is born with what he is going to be already determined. Just like a seed, he contains the whole program. Now, the question is only of unfoldment. There is no freedom. That has been the attitude of all the philosophers of the past. That man has a certain fate, a destiny. One is going to become a certain entity that is fixed. The script is already written. We are not aware of it. That's another matter. But whatsoever we are doing, we are not doing it. It is being done through us by natural unconscious forces or by pure consciousness, spirit, higher self, soul, God. This is the attitude of the determinist, the fatalist. The whole of humanity has suffered from it immensely, because this kind of approach means there is no possibility of any radical change. Nothing can be done at all about man's transformation. Everything is going to happen the way it is going to happen. The East has suffered most because of this attitude. When nothing can be done, then one starts accepting everything. When nothing can be done, then one starts accepting everything. Slavery, poverty, ugliness. One has to accept it. This is not understanding. It is not awareness. It is not what Gautama, the Buddha, calls suchness. It is just despair, hopelessness, hiding itself in beautiful words. But the consequence is going to be disastrous. We can see it in its most developed form. In India, the poverty, the beggars, the illness, the crippled people, the blind people. Anybody takes any note of it, because this is how life is. This is how life has always been. Excuse me. And this is how life is always going to be. A kind of lethargy seeps in to the very soul. But the whole approach is basically false. It is a consolation, not a discovery, that comes from looking into the reality. It is somehow to hide one's wounds. It is a rationalization. And whenever rationalizations start hiding our reality, we are bound to fall into darker and darker realms. Essence does not precede existence. On the contrary, existence precedes essence. Man is the only being on this earth who has freedom. Man is the only being on this earth who has freedom. A dog is born a dog, will live like a dog, will die like a dog. There is no freedom. A rose will remain a rose. There is no possibility of any transformation. It cannot become a lotus. There is no question of choice. There is no freedom at all. This is where man is totally different. This is the dignity of man, his specialness in existence, his uniqueness. That's why Charles Darwin is not right, because he starts categorizing man with other animals. This basic difference he has not even taken note of. The basic difference is that all animals are born with a program, right? Only man is born without a program. Man is born as a clean slate. Nothing is written on it. We have to write everything that we want to write on it. It is going to be our creation. Man is not only free, man is freedom. That is his essential core. That's his very soul. The moment we deny freedom to man, we have denied him his most precious treasure, his very kingdom. Then he is a beggar. And in a far more ugly situation than other animals, because at least they have a certain program, then man is simply lost. Once this is understood, that man is born as freedom, then all the dimensions open up to grow. Then it is up to us what to become and what not to become. It is going to be our own creation. Then this life becomes an adventure, not an unfoldment, but an adventure, an exploration, a discovery. The truth is not already given to us. We have to create the truth. In a way, each moment we are creating ourselves. Even if we accept the theory of fate, that is also an act of deciding about our lives. By accepting fatalism, we have chosen the life of a slave. It is our choice, no one else's. We have chosen to enter into a prison, who have chosen to be chained, but it is still our choice. We can come out of the prison. Of course, people are afraid to be free because freedom is risky. One never knows what one is doing, where one is going, what the ultimate result of it all is going to be. If we are not ready, made, then the whole responsibility is ours. We cannot throw the responsibility on somebody else's shoulders. Ultimately, we will be standing before existence totally responsible for ourselves. Whatsoever we are, whosoever we are, we cannot shirk it. We cannot escape from it. This is the fear. Out of this fear, people have chosen all kinds of determinist attitudes. And it is strange, it's a strange thing. The religious and the irreligious are agreed only on one point, that there is no freedom. On every other point, they disagree. But on one point, their agreement is strange. The communists say they're atheists, irreligious, but they say that man is determined by the social, economic, political situations. Man is not free. Man's consciousness is determined by outside forces. It is the same logic. You can call the outside force the economic structure. Hegel calls it history, with a capital H. Remember, and the religious people call it God. Again, the word is with a capital G. God, history, economics, politics, society, all outside forces. But they are all agreed upon one thing, that you are not free. So I say unto you, all of us are absolutely free, deeply and eternally free. Don't avoid the responsibility. Avoiding is not going to help. The sooner you accept it, the better, because immediately you can start creating yourself. And the moment you create yourself, great joy arises. And when you have completed yourself, the way you wanted to, there is immense contentment. Just as when a painter finishes his painting, the last touch, and a great contentment arises in his heart. A job well done brings great peace. One feels that one has participated with the whole. The only prayer is to be creative, because it is only through creativity that you participate in the whole, or the one. There is no other way to participate. God has not to be thought about. We have to participate in some way. We cannot be an observer. We can only be a participant. Only then will we taste the mystery of it. Creating a painting is nothing. Creating a poem is nothing. Creating music is nothing compared to creating yourself. Creating your consciousness, creating your very being. But people have been afraid, and there are reasons to be afraid. The first is that it is risky, because only you are responsible. Secondly, the freedom can be misused, because you can choose the wrong thing to be. Freedom means you can choose the right or the wrong. If you are only free to choose the right, it is not freedom. Then it will be like when Ford made his first cars, they were all black. And he would take his customers into the showroom and tell them, you can choose any color provided it's black. But what kind of freedom is this? Provided it is right, provided it follows directions, provided it is according to the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran, provided it is according to Buddha, Mahavira, Zarathustra, then it is not freedom at all. Freedom basically means, intrinsically means, that you are capable of both, either choosing the right or the wrong. And all those are frequencies, low and high. And the danger is, hence the fear, that the wrong is always easier to do. The wrong is a downhill task, and the right is an uphill task. Going uphill is different, arduous, and the higher you go, the more arduous it becomes. But going downhill is very easy. You need not do anything. Gravitation does everything for you. You can just roll like a rock from the hilltop, and the rock will reach to the very bottom. Nothing has to be done. But if you want to rise in consciousness, if and when you want to rise in the world of beauty, truth, bliss, then you are longing for the highest peaks possible, and that certainly is difficult. Secondly, the higher you reach, the more there is a danger of falling, because the path becomes narrow, and you are surrounded on all sides by dark valleys. A single wrong step, and you will simply be gone into the abyss. You will disappear. It is more comfortable and convenient to walk on the plain ground, not to bother about the heights. Freedom gives us the opportunity either to fall below the animals or to rise above the angels. Freedom is a ladder. One end of the ladder reaches hell, the other end touches heaven. The heaven is within us. The hell is outside of us. It is the same ladder. The choice is yours. The direction has to be chosen only by you. And to me, if you're not free, you cannot misuse your unfreedom. Unfreedom cannot be misused. The prisoner cannot misuse his situation. He is chained. He is not free to do anything. And that is the situation of all other animals except man. They're not free. They are born to be a certain kind of animal, and they will fulfill it. And the gods within them will fulfill it. In fact, nature itself fulfills it. They are not required to really do anything. There is no challenge in their life, but yes, there is. It is only man who has to face the challenge, the great challenge. And very few people have chosen to risk, to go to the heights, to discover their ultimate peaks. Only a few. The ones that are prevalent: Buddha, Christ, Krishna, Maitreya, only a few. And they could be counted on the fingers. Why hasn't the whole, and here's the question that many of us haven't asked, we will repeatedly, why hasn't the whole of humanity chosen to reach the same state of bliss as Buddha? The same state of love as Christ? The same state of celebration as Krishna? Why is that? For the simple reason that it is dangerous even to aspire to those heights. It is better not to think about it. And the best way not to think about it is to accept that there is no freedom. You are already determined beforehand. There is a certain script handed over to you before your birth, and you have just to fulfill it. Only freedom can be misused. Slavery cannot be misused. That's why we see so much chaos in this world today. It has never been there before, for the simple reason that man was not so free. We see more chaos in America for the simple reason that they are enjoying the greatest freedom that has ever been enjoyed anywhere in the world, at any time in history. Whenever there is freedom, chaos erupts. But that chaos is worth it, because only out of that chaos are stars born. Many of us have talked about the wealth transfer to the civilization of the planet, to humanity, to the people. Will there be some chaos during that wealth transfer? Absolutely. But that chaos is worth it, because only out of that chaos are stars born. I'm not giving you any discipline, because every discipline is a subtle kind of slavery. I'm not giving you any commandments, because any commandments given by anybody else coming from the outside are going to imprison you, to enslave you. I'm giving and showing you a way on how to be free, and then leaving you to yourself. To do what you want to do with your freedom. If you want to fall below the animals, that is your decision. And you are perfectly allowed to do it. because it is your life, you decide it that way, then it is your prerogative. But if you understand freedom and its value, you will not start falling. You will not go below the animals. You will start rising, elevating above the angels. Man is not an entity. He is a bridge between two eternities, the animal and the God, the unconscious and the conscious. Grow in consciousness, grow in freedom. Take each step out of your own choice. Create yourself and take the whole responsibility for it. Sex is the most powerful instinct in man. I don't think any one of us would disagree with that. The politician and the priest have understood from the very beginning that sex is the most driving energy in man. It has to be, understand this, from their perspective, it has to be curtailed. It has to be cut. If man is allowed total freedom in sex, when there will be no possibility to dominate him, to make a slave out of him, will be impossible. If man is allowed total freedom in sex, then there will be no possibility to dominate him, to make a slave out of him, will be impossible. I'm sure we've all witnessed this. We've seen it being done. When you want a bull to be yoked to a cart, what do you do? When you want a bull to be yoked to a cart, what do? You castrate him. You destroy his sex energy. And have you seen the difference between a bull and an ox? What is the difference between a bull and an ox? What a difference. An ox is a poor phenomenon, a slave. A bull is a beauty. A bull is a glorious phenomenon, a great splendor. See a bull walking, how he walks like an emperor, and see an ox pulling a cart. The same has been done to man. The sex instinct has been curtailed, cut, crippled. Man does not exist as the bull now. He exists like the ox. And each man is pulling 1,001 carts. Look, and you will find behind you 1,001 carts. And you are yoked to them. Why can't you yoke a bull? The bull is too powerful. If he sees a cow passing by, he will throw both you in the cart and he will move to the cow. He will not bother a bit about who you are, and he will not listen. It will be impossible to control the bull. Sex energy is life energy. It is uncontrollable. And the politician and the priest are not interested in you. They are interested in channeling your energy into other directions. So there is a certain mechanism behind it. It has to be understood. Sex repression, tabooing sex, is the very foundation of human slavery. Man cannot be free unless sex is free. Man cannot be really free unless his sex energy is allowed natural growth. There are the 5 tricks through which man has been turned into a slave, into an ugly phenomenon, a cripple. The first is, keep man as weak as possible if you want to dominate him. If the priest wants to dominate you, or the politician wants to dominate you, you have to be kept as weak as possible. And the best way to keep a man weak is not to give love total freedom. Love is nourishment. Now, the psychologists have discovered that if a child is not given love, he shrivels up into himself and becomes weak. You can give him milk, you can give him medicine, you can give him everything else, but just don't give love. Don't hug him, don't kiss him, don't hold him close to the warmth of your body, and the child will start becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. There are more chances of his dying than surviving. But what happens? Why? Just hugging, kissing, giving warmth, somehow the child feels nourished, accepted, loved, needed. The child starts feeling worthy. The child starts feeling a certain meaning in his life. Now, from the very childhood, we starve them. We don't give love as much as is needed. Then we try to force the young men and young women not to fall in love unless they get married. By the age of 14, they become sexually mature. That's a fact. But their education may take more time, 10 years more, until they are 24, 25 years old. Then they will be getting their MAs or PhDs or MDs. So we try to force them not to love. Sexual energy comes to its climax near the age of 18. Never again will a man be so potent, and never again will a woman be able to have a greater orgasm than she will be able to near the age of 18. But we force them not to make love. Girls and boys are kept separate. And just between them stands the whole mechanism of police, magistrates, vice chancellors, principals, headmasters. They are all standing there, just in between, just holding the boys back from moving to the girls, holding the girls back from moving to the boys. Why? Why is so much care taken? They are trying to kill the bull and create an ox. They're trying to kill the bull and create an ox. By the time you are 18, you're at the peak of your sexual energy, your love energy. By the time you get married at 25 or so, 26, 27, and the age has been going up and up and up, the more cultured a country, the longer you wait, because more has to be learned. The job has to be found, this and that. By the time you get married, you're almost declining in your powers. Then you love, but the love never becomes really hot. It never comes to the point where people evaporate. It remains lukewarm. And when you have not been able to love totally, you cannot love your children because you don't know how. When you have not been able to know the peaks of it, how can you teach your children? How can you help your children to have the peaks of it when you haven't yourself? So down the ages, down through the ages, man has been denied love so that he should remain weak. Some of you, maybe you're familiar with this, but the abbreviation FUCK means fornication under consent of the king. During those days, You would have to go to the king's court if you wanted to have sex with a woman or a man, and to get the king's permission. Fornication under consent of the king is what that word represents. Second, keep man as ignorant and deluded as possible so that he can easily be deceived. Keep man as ignorant and deluded as possible so that he can easily be deceived. And if you want to create a sort of idiocy, which is a must for the priest and the politician and their conspiracy, then the best thing is not to allow man to move into love freely. Without love, a man's intelligence falls low. We have witnessed this. Have you not watched it? When you fall in love, suddenly all your capacities are at their peak, at their crescendo. Just a moment ago, you were looking dull, and then you meet your woman, and suddenly a great joy has erupted in your being. You are aflame. While people are in love, they perform at their maximum. When love disappears, or when love is not there, they perform at their minimum. The most intelligent people are the most sexual people. This has to be understood, because love energy is basically intelligence. If you cannot love, you are somehow closed, cold. You cannot flow. While in love, one flows. While in love, one feels so confident that one can touch the stars. That's why a woman becomes a great inspiration. A man becomes a great inspiration. When a woman is loved, she becomes more beautiful immediately, instantly. Just a moment ago, she was just an ordinary woman. Huh? And now love has showered upon her. She is bathed in a totally new energy. A new aura arises around her. She walks more gracefully. A dance has come to her step. Her eyes have tremendous beauty now. Her face glows. She is luminous. And the same happens to the man. When people are in love, they perform at the optimum. Don't allow love, they will remain at the minimum. When they remain at the minimum, they are stupid, they are ignorant, they don't bother to know. And when people are ignorant and stupid and deluded, they can be easily deceived. When people are sexually repressed, love-wise repressed, they start hankering for the other life. They think about heaven, paradise, but they don't think to create the paradise here, now. When you're in love, paradise is here now. Then you don't bother. Then who goes to the priest? Then who bothers that there should be a paradise? You're already there. You are no longer interested. But when your love energy is repressed, you start thinking, here is nothing, now is empty. Then there must be somewhere, some goal. You go to the priest, ask about heaven. He paints beautiful pictures of heaven. Sex has been repressed so that you can become interested in the other life. And when people are interested in the other life, naturally, they're not interested in this life. This life is the only life. The other life is hidden in this life. It is not against it. It is not away from it. It is in it. Go into it. This is it. Go into it and you will find the other too. God is hidden in the world. God is hidden here now. If you love, you will be able to feel all of it. And the third secret, keep man as frightened as possible. And the sure way is not to allow him love, because love destroys fear. Love casteth out fear. And when you're in love, you are not afraid. When you are in love, you can fight against the whole world. When you are in love, you feel infinitely capable of anything. But when you are not in love, you are afraid of small things. When you are not in love, you become more interested in security, in safety. When you are in love, you are more interested in adventure, in exploration. People have not been allowed to love because that is the only way to make them afraid. And when they are afraid and trembling, they are always on their knees, bowing to the priest, bowing to the politician. It is a great conspiracy against this humanity. It is a great conspiracy against you. Your politician, your priest, are your enemies, but they pretend that they are public servants. They say, we are here to serve you, to help you attain a better life. We are here to create a good life for you. And they are the destroyers of life itself. The fourth step, fourth secret, keep man as miserable as possible, because a miserable man is confused. A miserable man has no self-worth. A miserable man is self-condemnatory. A miserable man feels that he must have done something wrong. A miserable man has no grounding. You can push him from here, there. He can be turned into driftwood very easily. And a miserable man is always ready to be commanded, to be ordered, to be disciplined, because he knows, on my own, I am simply miserable. Maybe somebody else can discipline my life. He is a ready victim. And the fifth secret, keep men as alienated from each other as possible, so that they cannot band together for some purpose of which the priest and the politician may not approve. Keep people separate from each other. Don't allow them much intimacy. When people are separate, lonely, alienated from each other, they cannot band together. And there are 1,001 tricks to keep them apart. For example, if you're holding the hand of a man, you are a man, and you are holding the hand of a man and walking down the road singing, you will feel guilty because people will start looking at you. Are you gay, homosexual, or something? Two men are not allowed to be happy together. They are not allowed to hold hands. They are not allowed to hug each other. They are condemned as homosexuals. Fear arises. If your friend comes and takes your hand, in his hand, you look around. Is somebody looking or not? And you are just in a hurry to drop the hand. You shake hands in such a hurry. Have you watched people do this? You just touch each other's hand and shake, and you are finished. And even now, don't even shake. You bump fists. You don't hold hands. You don't hug each other. You are afraid. Do you remember your father hugging you ever? Do you remember your mother hugging you after you became sexually mature? Why not? Fear has been created. A young man and his mother hugging? Maybe some sex will arise between them. Some idea. some fantasy. Fear has been created. The Father and the Son know. So this is what's been happening. This is what is happening on this planet. 25 years of anti-love, of fear. And then suddenly you are legally allowed. A license is issued. And now you can love this woman. This is your wife. You are her husband. You are allowed to love. But where are those 25 years of wrong training going to go? They will be there. And yes, you will love. You will make a gesture. It is not going to be explosive. It is not going to be orgasmic. It will be very tiny. That's why you are frustrated after making love. 99% of people on this planet are frustrated after making love. More frustrated than they have ever been before. And they feel, what is this? There is nothing. It is not true. First, the priest and the politician have managed that you should not be able to love. And then they come and they preach that there is nothing significant in love. And certainly, their preaching looks right. Their preaching looks exactly in tune with your experience. First, they create the experience of futility, of frustration. Then, they're teaching. And both look logical together, of a piece. This is a great trick, the greatest that has ever been played upon man. These 5 things that I've shared with you can be managed through a single thing, and that is the taboo against love. It is possible to accomplish all these objectives by somehow preventing people from loving each other. And the taboo has been managed in such a scientific way. This taboo is a great work of art. Great skill and great cunningness have gone into it. It is really a masterpiece. This taboo has to be understood. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Remain still. In this day and age, every person needs to experience some type of an illumination. We are all those people. Our greatest assignment is to let ourselves be illuminated by our own presence. Many philosophers, prophets, Buddha said, be a light unto yourself. Let your light shine everywhere you go, as if a profound, loved, and honored person had just entered the room. Be lit up by your own vibration, and you'll light everyone's as well, with all your heart every day. Celebrate this magnificent, divine, magical, manifesting being that you already are. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, to continue our reverse aging health call, and Saturday, October 15th, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call.